Meanwhile, across the southern border in Washington, President Donald Trump will meet Pakistan Army's Chief General Syed Asim Munir, who is in fact in Washington currently on an official visit, on a so-called official visit, Islamabad claims. Now, the reports about the meeting come days after the White House denied inviting Munir to the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary celebrations on the 14th of June. The Pakistani military leader will meet the U.S. leader for lunch in the White House's cabinet room. This is according to the president's daily public schedule. Now, the timing of this meeting is critical as it comes during an escalating high-stakes conflict between Israel and Iran. Munir is also meanwhile expected to meet with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on his U.S. trip. This is according to a report by Pakistani daily Dawn. And very interestingly, this visit also comes just a day after the general, addressed the so-called Pakistan diaspora in Washington amid protests which had in fact broken out right outside the Four Seasons venue inside which he was giving this address. My colleague Vishal Vivek gets us more details.
On one hand, we have the US President. On the other, we have the Field Marshal, so-called Field Marshal Asim Munir. This will happen. This will be a closed-door lunch at the White House, is what we've heard. And this comes, in the wake of the big clash between India and Pakistan. And during this meet, there's a possibility that US action on Iran could also be discussed, because there have been several reports that suggest that US is almost ready to act on Iran. And the fact of the matter is, when US does decide to attack Iran, it will need the bases that Pak has. Pak has been a long-time ally of US, so that will be in concentration. That is what the US will be looking at. And Trump is what the reports are suggesting, that Trump is now trying to appease Pak because the Iran war seems to be deepening each day. So that is what will also be looked at. And as we've been talking about, the meet comes shortly after the Operation Sindoor, in which Pak was exposed on the world stage. So it will also be in consideration when experts look at this meeting with close eye. And Trump has been repeatedly claiming that he was involved in brokering that ceasefire. The PM just now spoke with Trump and made it clear that that's not the case. It was Pakistan that had approached India for a ceasefire.
Now, the deadly conflict between Iran and Israel enters its sixth day, with both sides widening their attacks. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei has issued a battle cry, this as Tehran used hypersonic missiles to pound Israel in the latest round of overnight strikes. The 10th round, for perspective there, Iranian leader warns of no mercy will be shown. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, has said he believes the Jewish state's offensive have significantly set back Tehran's nuclear program, sending them back a very, very long time. That's Netanyahu's statement. Now, in a series of threatening posts on Truth Social, US President Donald Trump has said that for now he would not act to eliminate Ayatollah Khamenei and that the US could very well assassinate him, but is refraining from doing so. Now, the only reason they are choosing not to do so, according to Trump, is to avoid any retaliation against American civilians and troops in the Middle East. Now, he also demanded for an unconditional surrender, as we have already flashed earlier. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding, said Trump's tweet on social media. He's an easy target, but it is safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least not for now, Trump wrote on his Truth Social account. Here's more.
Ahead of this meeting in the White House Situation Room, President Trump fired off a slew of highly charged social media posts, giving the clearest indication yet of how he views this situation and what he wants. The president called for Iran's unconditional surrender, saying that the U.S. has complete and total control of the skies over the country. He also said the U.S. knows exactly where Iran's supreme leader is hiding, and that for now the U.S. isn't going to kill him. But the president added that his patience is wearing thin. As with everything with Trump, it's really hard to know if this is really how he feels or if this is just a negotiating tactic. But fears are mounting that this situation could very easily go off the rails. The president has said that he is not interested in a ceasefire, but a real end to the hostilities and an end to Iran's nuclear program. But to really end it, to really end the nuclear program, it would likely mean the U.S. getting directly involved. It has the military hardware, the precision-guided bombs and aircraft to hit Iran's enrichment plant, which is buried very deep in a mountain. Now, Israel believes the U.S. will help in this endeavor, although Trump has not confirmed this. But his vice president, J.D. Vance, perhaps has now set the stage for such a move. In a tweet, he said the president has shown remarkable restraint, but may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment, and that decision ultimately belongs to Trump. This would be a major escalation in the Middle East and could potentially drag the U.S. into a lengthy war, something that Trump and much of his team have long tried to avoid. Lawmakers here in Washington, though, seem to be getting nervous as well. A bipartisan measure is gaining traction on Capitol Hill that would limit Trump's ability to intervene. It would require him to get Congress's approval before engaging in any sort of direct action against Iran. It's unclear, though, whether this resolution will be able to pass, given Republicans' reluctance to stand up to or stand in the way of the president. Tony Waterman, NDTV.